Well, that's good. All right, guys, up here, focusing, okay? So, this whole unit is about functions, okay? Functions are how we see multiple representations of graphs, tables, equations, and solutions, okay? What we're focusing on today is called function notation. This goes with function evaluation, but the broad topic is this thing. So, this x is our independent variable. When we do this, it gives us this entire piece, which is the output. This entire piece here is the function or the rule. That just means the equation. So, function, that's the rule, that's the equation. That's what you do when you plug in x in order to get y for it to be true. Any questions there? Thank you, Aaliyah. Sir, make sure you take a hall pass next time. You're okay. So it says, what's the difference? This right here is telling me when x This is telling me when x is equal to 7. So I take 7 and I plug it into that function. So the 2 remains the same. And the so parentheses 7 plus 3. Everybody still with me? Okay. So from here, it's just the order of operations to simplify. So if you remember that, GEMDAS, we have to use this in order to simplify.
You said GEM what?
It's GEMDAS, baby.
Oh.
We've been using this since Unit 1, so make sure you know it and you can recall it. Is there any grouping symbols I need to simplify the inside of? Yes or no?
Yes.
There's a grouping symbol, but is there anything to simplify on the inside of that?
Oh, no.
No. So I move on. Are there any exponents?
No.
No. So is there any multiplication or division?
Yes.
Yes. What's being multiplied?
2 times 7.
2 times 7. So f of 7 comes down. That's how you read it. F of 7 equals, typing in 2 times 7. What does that get you?
14.
What comes down behind that? Plus 3. Is there any other multiplication or divisions happening? Yes or no?
No.
No. So we move on. Is there any addition or subtractions happening?
Yeah.
What's being added? 14 plus 3. So we bring down f of 7 equals, and then we type in 14 plus 3. So typing in 14 plus 3, I'll tell you when. That way nobody feels left out or left behind. So, what do we get? 17. My answer. And that is the notation we are looking for. So, f of 7 equals 17. Can you say that?
F of 7 equals 17.
Can more people say that? That's what we're going to say, okay? So, any questions here? Now, looking at this one. This entire piece is saying y equals 7. So I'm not plugging it into, it will not be set up the same way. So, rewriting it, it would be 7. So 7 equals what?
7 equals what?
No, 7 equals
Oh.
2x plus 3. Now we are solving. That's a two-step equation. What's the first step I need to do in order to solve it?
Subtract 3.
Subtract 3 on both sides. So 7 minus 3 is 4. Everybody get 4? What's coming? So what's happening now to get x by itself? Divide by 2 on both sides. Get that typed in. What'd you get? Those 2's. So what's brought down? What's another way to write this? Are they both equally good answers? Will I accept both? Absolutely. This is how you write the notation. X equals 2. Do you see how it being written differently at the top tells you that your answer is going to be received differently? Can you see that? You were given X, so you had to find Y. Okay? You were given Y, so you had to find X. That is the meat and potatoes of what we're doing today. Okay? So, function machines. Functions work a lot like machines. Think of a machine you use every day that uses input and output. What is the input? What does the machine do to the input? What is the output? Those are the questions that we are asking or need to be answered. The best example I tell people is, what is your goal by putting bread in a toaster? What are you trying to get out of it?
Bread.
Toasted bread. Does the bread come out the same way it went in? No. The machine is the toaster. So which means when you put your regular bread in, you're getting a new product out based on the machine that you put it in. Everybody still follow it? Think of this another way. Your egg is your input. You put your egg inside of a frying pan. The frying pan is your machine. What's going to happen to the egg? It's going to fry the egg. It's going to cook the egg. Are you getting the same input that you got when you put it in there? No. You see how this can be applied to real life things. That's what you're doing here. That's the whole point. Your machine is cooking something up to give you something different. Any questions? So if I'm looking at this first machine, they gave me x equals 5. Everybody see that? That's my first piece. X equals 5. So now I need to take this, put it into my machine, and this 5 goes in the place of what? In the place of what? How do I read this that I just circled? So it goes in the place of what? X. 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 So, rewriting this, how would I rewrite this? F of 5 equals what? Well, we need to come down first. What kind of 2? What kind of 2? Negative 2. You're okay. What did we say goes in the place of X? 5. Because that's what I circled up top, right? What comes after that? Plus 8. Now, this left side stays the same. What needs to be done first in order for me to simplify the right side? Distribute or multiply? What am I multiplying? What am I multiplying? One more time? Sorry, I just can't hear y'all. Halfway correct. What are you missing in what you just told me? A negative. Because do signs matter? If you run a stop sign and hit somebody, is it your fault? Yeah, because did you read the sign? No. So, what's being typed in? Thank you. Type that in for me, please, and thank you. -2 times 5. What did they get, y'all? What comes down? Baby. Because we just did that, right? So after that, plus 8. So what do I need to do now? Nah, yes and no. Elaborate. Thank you. Add -10 and 8, or 8 to -10, right? If you said subtract, you would have to say 8 minus 10. That's what I was asking you to elaborate on. Wasn't wrong by any means. Just sounded crazy when you read what you have. So type in -10 plus 8. I'll tell you when. What'd y'all get? So how do I read this final answer? F of 5 equals what? So put that all together, what I just said. Knowing how to read your answer is a deeper understanding of just writing it down. Because a lot of people still in my fourth block that have seen this in some capacity, or even kids that I've taught in the past that still struggle with this on testing, don't realize that if they don't know how to read it, you don't understand it really. You can do the math all day, but if you can't read it, how can you explain it? You just can't. So looking at the next machine, what was given? Input or output? Output. So what variable is that? What variable? Input and output. Look at the top of your paper. This is seeing if you can read, right? I highlighted my two things, but did you highlight yours? What is output? Y. So what variable did they give you in this one? Did they give you the input or the output? Did they give you the beginning or the end? The output, which is what variable? Nope. Because you can't read. To put it bluntly. Sorry, people who are listening to this recording. This is just how I speak. I'm teaching these kids how to read. I'm making sure they know vocabulary because they have a quiz about input and output on Friday. This is for any parent who's also listening to this. They have a quiz on Friday where input and output is on the paper. Let me just show you for any kind of like evidence. Input, output, and I've already defined it for them. So that's for the future. So try again. What did they give you? Input or output? Which is what variable? It's what, Denver? Why? Because it says it right there. But you couldn't recall it. You see where the disconnect is? Yeah. So y equals what? Y equals what? 20. So I'm looking for x. So how would I set this up in order to find x? What would need to come first? Am I using my first example or my second example?
First.
What was given in the first? Oh, what was given down here? So you're telling me x and y are the same variable? So I'm teaching you how to read, right?
That's the second one.
It's the second one. So now that you know it's the second one, I can't obviously have this up here while I'm showing you this one. So you have to look on your paper, okay? How do I set this up? What needs to come first? Look at your second example on your paper. Look at what I just wrote.
20 needs to come first.
Thank you. Then,
20.
Subtract 8 on both sides. What's being typed in? So type in 20 minus 8. Remember, write and type, write and type. We were doing good about that before we left. Write and type. What'd y'all get? What comes behind that? Uh-huh. What do I do from there? Divide by what? There we go, on both sides. I was waiting to hear that negative. What's being typed in? Which is? Make sure if you didn't type that in, you do type it in to prove your answer. Don't take the word of your classmates. Don't even take my word for it. I need you to prove it, okay? What comes behind that? How can I rewrite that? Are they both good answers? So, the goal is for you to be able to take this value and plug it in here, and you should be able to get that answer. So I want to check that with you guys. So we're going to check it up here. They told me x was what? Oh, right here. X is what? Negative 6. So I would write f of what? F of negative 6 equals what? Negative 2 parentheses negative 6 plus 8. From there, what needs to be done first? Negative 2 times negative 6. Type that in for me, please, and thank you. And what'd y'all get? 12. What comes down behind it? Plus 8. So what's being typed in next? 12 plus 8. And what'd you get? Isn't that what you were supposed to get? Because isn't that what they told you the output was down here? You see how we just checked it? Any questions there? Everybody good? Okay. Go on and flip that page for me. Let's look at this first example here. We're only going to focus on example number 1. It says evaluate each function for the given values. Is the given information your input or your output? That is the main question you need to focus on. Is it your input or your output? What value is input? What variable? So that makes output what? It's either one or the other. It's a 50-51. Does that make sense? So you can't say X is both. You have to say X is one, that makes Y the other. Okay? Okay. Looking at A. I have f of x equals 5 over 14 minus x for f of negative 6. So, did they give me an input or an output? Look at example number 1 and 2 on the front page. Look at the thing that says, what is the difference? Does it look like 1 or does it look like 2? Does it look like the first one or the second one? You tell me.
That's all.
Don't just say something. Look at the examples and say, does it look like the first one or does it look like the second one?
Like the second one.
How do you read the second one on your paper?
Me?
Mm-hmm. So underneath the thing that says, what is the difference? So go to your first page, look at the title that says, what is the difference, and look at the second one, so the one to the right. How do you read that?
Fx.
Does that look like f of negative 6? Don't look at this. Look at that. Does that look like f of negative 6?
No.
So does it look like the first example or the second example?
The first one.
The first example, because how do you read the first example? Underneath, what is the difference?
Just f of 7.
F of 7. You see how it just gave you a number?
Yeah.
It didn't give you the x? That's what you're looking for. That's what we're doing. We're learning how to what, Jordan?
Read.
Read. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So, this looks like example number 1, which means both left examples. Everybody still with me? So, if I'm looking at A, what did they give me? The input or the output? Input, which is which variable? X. So they just told me that X is equal to what? Negative 6. So everywhere I see an X, I'm going to put what instead? So how would I rewrite this? F of what? Of negative 6, then equals 5 over 14 minus negative 6. I'm going to pause. Is everybody still with me? Is this making sense? Okay. So from here, is there anything to simplify in the numerator? No, because it's just 5, right? Is there anything to simplify in the denominator? Yes. 2 negatives make a what? So what's being typed to the calculator? 14 what? 6. So 14 plus 6. So should the 5 up top change at all? But what's your new denominator? 20. Should I check to see if this fraction simplifies? Absolutely. So in your calculator, typing in 5 divided by 20, math 1, enter. I'll tell you when. 5 divided by 20, math 1, enter. So what'd y'all get?
1 over 4.
So I have f of negative 6 equals 1 over 4. Any questions there? Does it make sense? This is where we're going to pause it for today. What I want you to do for me is study over the ones that we did talk about, okay? This was supposed to happen. I'm supposed to finish it up tomorrow. Any questions? Okay, make sure that you get your notes organized. You need your notes from the previous units. I don't know who told you to throw them away. Don't do that. They come back, especially if you have to take my final exam. Any questions? All right, get it packed up, please, and thank you. Last row, calculator's up, so true, go on and go.